Today is the first Tuesday of July, 2020. So it is also time for what I call our first Tuesday workshop. It's just a little heart to heart. I get on here for 15 minutes and I talk about things that I'm using to hack my way through life. And because today is also the first Tuesday of the next quarter, I have scheduled to talk about goals, doing a quarterly goals check-in. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that. Now, if you've heard me talk about goals before, you know that I talk about heart goals, not smart goals, heart goals. Heart goals initially began as a way for me to balance my long-term goals, but it quickly became a way that I used to just balance daily life. So if you're new here, I am going to walk you through the 5 pillars, the foundation of heart goals, which is our 5 life segments. If you've been here before and you've heard me talk about heart goals before, I would like to encourage you to use the framework, use the heart framework to look at your goals in a different way today. So if you're using heart to manage your life on a daily basis to make sure that you get all the little detail stuff done, that's great. But today I want you to use heart as a lens and use it to look ahead for the next quarter or the next year, and just use it as a lens for a different framework, a different time period of your life today. So if you're using it on a daily basis, use it to think ahead over the next quarter. Or if you're using it on a quarterly basis, use it to maybe challenge yourself to use on a monthly basis, weekly basis, or even a daily basis. So the foundation of heart goals is based on what we call 5 life segments. Each letter in the word heart represents a different life segment. And just as the brief overview, I'm going to walk you through each of those segments and then give you an example of what a long-term, short-term, and a daily goal in each of those areas is going to be. So the first category is help yourself. This is all about your physical well-being. So a long-term example of a goal that would help your physical well-being would be run a marathon. A short-term goal, something that you would use on more of like a monthly basis, would be maybe lose 5 pounds over the next month. That's an example of a short-term goal that helps your physical well-being. And then on a daily basis, a daily goal would look like drink more water. And in the H category, in the help yourself category, there are 4 checkpoints that I use on a daily basis, and that is sleep, water, nutrition, and movement. And I'll show you how I'm going to use those for my quarterly goals check-in in a second. Second life segment is empower yourself. This is all about your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. So an example of a long-term goal in this area would be read the Bible. A shorter-term goal would be to read a book of the Bible, and a daily goal might look like reading a chapter. So this is a category that is easy to break down into longer-term, short-term, and daily goals. My kids, the way I'm teaching them to use this in their lives this summer is on a daily basis. I just read, write, and pray. And they don't have to write, they can draw a picture if they want to, but that's all about the emotional element of empowering yourself. The third life segment is all your people. This is about your relational well-being. An example of a long-term goal in this area would be to build great family communication skills. A shorter term goal would be something like have 4 family dinners per month this month. And a daily goal would look like having a meaningful conversation, setting a daily goal or setting an intention to have a meaningful conversation with one of your people. I'm going to talk more about how I'm using that in my life here in a second with my quarterly goals check-in. The fourth category is it's your resources and responsibilities. This is the stuff and things category. It's all about stewarding your stuff wisely. So an example of a long-term goal would be pay off your car. An example of a shorter term goal would be to pay off a chunk of the car loan. And a daily goal in this area might look like cleaning out the car every time you get out of it, but just something that's going to keep literally the wheels from falling off, because we can't just focus on long-term things or even shorter-term goals. We have to focus on daily maintenance or things will get out of control. And the last life segment is trade. It's T. This is your work. And the cool thing about this life segment is that the 80-20 rule starts to apply here. You're going to spend 20% of your time in the first 4 life segments, all about your physical well-being, your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, your relational well-being, and then your fiscal, your financial well-being in that stuff and things category, the resources and responsibilities. That's going to, by spending 20% of your time managing each of those 4 essential areas of life, you're going to have more time to focus on work goals. But the problem here is all too often we sort of default to work goals first in life, and that's usually when life starts to spin out of control and get really off balance. So the goals, the long-term, short-term, and daily goals here are going to look very different for everyone, just because simply everybody's career and trade and what they are doing on a daily basis looks very different. But what it comes down to is very simply this: you only need to focus on these 5 areas of life to get to where you want to go. Each of these 5 life segments can be used as a lens through which to view different time periods of your life. So whether it's using these 5 areas to look backwards at the last month and use it as a reflective tool, or to use those 5 categories to look ahead, to just imagine what could be and to set some goals and to dream some big dreams, you only need to touch on those 5 categories of life. So the cool thing about the Heart Goals method is that it's perfect for 2020, this year. You guys probably have heard me say before that different seasons call for different systems. And if ever we were all in a different season, it is this year. And so we really need to, if you're one of those people that just doesn't like change, I would really encourage you to just kind of lean in for just a moment and just feel that this is a different year, in case we haven't all felt that enough already, and allow yourself to just realize that what's happening in our lives individually and collectively right now is a very hard, different season. But we are intelligent, capable human beings, capable of change, and this is a great opportunity to just kind of lean into some of that discomfort and allow our minds to open up and find a different system that maybe works better than some of our old systems. So you can actually, Heart Goals would be, if you haven't learned it yet, Heart Goals would be a great system, a great framework to dive into learning more about, so that you can apply it to the crazy year that we are all having. So just as a quick illustration of how I use that in my own life, I'm going to do my quarterly goals check-in. Now, I just got out of the shower, as you can tell, wet hair, and I had all these thoughts. So I wrote everything out, and you've probably noticed me reading from some of these notes, and I'm just going to read you my quarterly goals check-in. And the reason I'm doing this is, or basically what I'm doing is I'm using those 5 life segments I just talked about to look forward over the next quarter, as well as do a little bit of reflection about how things have been going in each of those life segment areas. And that will give me insight into knowing sort of what I need to adjust on a daily basis. So H, sleep, water, nutrition, and movement. My sleep is going really well. Water, I would really love to step up on some hot summer, especially in these hot summer days. I am going to start that today by taking a giant bottle of water with me when I go to the house that we're remodeling. We've also renewed our family focus on nutrition recently, so I think that will continue to be a theme for us over the next quarter, continuing to plan healthy meals and really just plan the meals. We've kind of gotten out of our rhythm, out of our meal plan routine, and we need to get back into that. In terms of movement and exercise, I am getting a ton of movement, a lot of steps in right now because we're remodeling. We're also gearing up to actually move, but I would like to be more conscious about this. And one thing that would help me do that would be to get a new Fitbit, or I've wanted an Apple Watch for a really long time, maybe bite the bullet and invest in one of those. Okay, side note here. I want you to see how easy it is to use the Heart Goals framework to do a quarterly goals check-in. First life segment, I'm done right there. That's all there is to it. There's no need to track anything or pressure myself because I don't have a long-term goal. I know what I need to be doing in that life segment, that area of my life right now. Okay, next category, E. How am I doing on a mental standpoint? I need to read more. I am in a couple books, but I could dedicate some time to reading a few more pages per day on those. I can step up my Audible game, listen to some more Audible books. In terms of my emotional and spiritual needs right now, in hectic seasons, I feel like this is the area that is always, it's really quickly the first to go. And I would like to refocus our family life and incorporate church back into our family life more. It's kind of gotten away from us given quarantine, and we just need to be more intentional about that. All my people category, my goals in this category are usually pretty consistent. I want to build great relationships with my kids. I can't squeeze that into their senior year when they turn 18, so it has to happen little by little in life right now. We're getting a ton of family time, but I would like to improve the quality of the time that we're getting as a family. So there are a few parenting books that I want to read, and I should add those to my stack, and that will help with my E life segment as well, my emotional, mental, and spiritual. In terms of R, which is the resources and responsibilities category, this life segment has seen some major upheaval for us in the past quarter. We recently closed on a new house and are now barreling through a remodel and getting ready to move very shortly. So it all feels like a lot. And this is always a sign when one life segment starts to feel like a lot. This is a sign that life could get out of balance if I'm not careful. So, excuse me. This is a good clue that it's time to zone in on some of the shorter term and daily things that need to happen in my life, just because this is a longer term goal, like moving into a house that is 50 years old and is going to be a project for the rest of my life. I'm so excited about, but it can also start to feel really exhausting. And it's in these moments that I remind myself that life is a journey, not a destination. This is a marathon. I'm in a season of maybe a short-term sprint right now, but really just kind of wrapping my brain around that and grasping that mindset and encouraging myself with a little mental pep talk is all I need to do to keep that life segment kind of in check. And then in terms of trade, the life segment of trade, I know that because things are really crazy in resources and responsibilities right now, that my trade goals and my ambitions for work and things like that might take a back seat. So I'll be excited to get back into a rhythm, but right now I'm going to really need to focus on the things that I need to do to keep my work life in balance. Not work-life balance, but just my trade life in balance. So for me, that comes down to planning and writing a lot of things down. So in a nutshell, this is how I do quarterly goals check-in. I just did it using the HEART method. Now, if you would like to apply this to your life, I would encourage you to grab a notebook and a pen and write this stuff down. Go back and watch the video again. And don't forget, in the shop, there are some handy free printable resources that you can use. You can also find a monthly Heart Goals check-in in the back of every planner, and also available in our shop. And I hope that stuff helps you balance life and live life beautifully.